time for another Devil's Due movie review. Today we're going to talk about Dark Phoenix, the final X-Men movie from Fox, if my information is correct. Dark Phoenix has been getting abysmal critic scores. On Rotten Tomatoes it was at a 28% last time I looked for critics. On Metacritic it was in the 40s, and I went and saw it opening weekend in the theater. I got this neat keychain when I went to see it. It has the X-Men logo on it. It was not a 28% movie. It was not a 45% movie, or whatever Metacritic has it at now. I would give it a C+, maybe a B- on a generous day. The point being, the critics are wrong about it. It's an enjoyable film. It's well made. And I'm going to go over some of the things I liked about it and a couple of complaints. Dark Phoenix, what is there to say? First off, the cast is great. James McAvoy is one of the greatest actors that ever lived, is Professor X, Michael Fassbender is Magneto, Jennifer Lawrence is Mystique, Sophie Turner from Game of Thrones is Jean Grey. Something about Sophie Turner's performance in this, when she's playing the scared Jean Grey who's being possessed by the Phoenix Force, she does a great job. She's absolutely wonderful. When she's powerful, accepted her abilities, Dark Phoenix, it kind of loses something, and that actually surprises me, because in Game of Thrones, when she makes the turn from scared, naive girl to powerful, manipulative, intelligent, politically savvy, noble woman, it's a very convincing turn, and I really liked her character a lot more after that personality change. The idea that her Dark Phoenix wasn't as intimidating as I felt like it should be is a minor complaint about the movie, but leading up to that, she does a great job. See, it has Jessica Chastain, who I'm going to give props to looking like a weird alien without the use of makeup. Action sequences, it's an X-Men movie, so there's a lot of teamwork involved. The action sequences work really well for the most part, and they're paced pretty well throughout the movie. There's an early space shuttle rescue, which looks great. There is a small battle in a quiet neighborhood, which is one of the smaller action pieces, but it still works. Small fight on a mutant reserve. There's a big fight on the streets of New York, which I really enjoyed. And then the piece de resistance is a battle on board a moving train, which is probably the absolute best part of the film. Like I said, everything in it, the special effects don't look too bad considering the movie's budget. The acting's good across the board. One thing that kind of annoyed me in the movie, and there's going to be some minor spoilers here, was an instance of pandering which I felt was completely unnecessary and didn't make sense in the context of the film. So, I mentioned there's a space shuttle rescue. It's in the trailers. You see when they're out in space, that's kind of how Jean Grey gets possessed by the Phoenix Force. What happens is, there's a space shuttle in trouble. The President calls Professor X, because the X-Men have kind of become celebrities, in a way, in this universe. The X-Men take their modified X-Jet right outside of Earth's orbit, try to rescue the astronauts. Cyclops uses his optic blast to disable a thruster that's causing the space shuttle to spin out of control. Storm uses her weather abilities to freeze the escaping air and plug up any of the leaks in the pressurized cabin. Nightcrawler and Quicksilver teleport over to the space shuttle. Quicksilver runs around the shuttle grabbing all the astronauts as quickly as he can, and Nightcrawler teleports them back into the X-Jet. One of the astronauts says, "Our captain was in the bay, you missed him." Jean Grey says, "I'll hold the shuttle together long enough using my telekinesis, just get me over there so I can be closer to it," because apparently proximity makes a difference. Kurt teleports Jean over to the shuttle. Kurt's Nightcrawler, for those who aren't comic book nerds. Then he goes into the bay, grabs the astronaut, teleports him back to the ship, to the X-Jet. The shuttle falls apart. Jean Grey gets hit by the Phoenix Force. That's how she gets possessed by it. Nightcrawler teleports into the vacuum of space and grabs Jean Grey, gets her home. Okay, when they land, Mystique starts immediately screaming at Professor X that you sent us up there so you could get more medals and accolades from the public. You know, you want another ceremony where the president, says your name and all this. She basically accuses him of putting their lives at risk for his ego. And then she finishes off her diatribe by saying, "Oh, and by the way, the women are always rescuing the men around here, so you may want to rename the team the X-Women." They a group of women who were seeing the movie together clapped at that point, and I was confused because nothing shown to us in the movie at that point indicated that the women were saving the men more. If you look at the space shuttle rescue, the entire thing was a team effort. And if you want to talk about who did the most saving, Nightcrawler was the only one who could reach the shuttle and back, because of his teleportation abilities. He also grabbed Jean Grey, who had been hit by the Phoenix Force, from the vacuum of space. There's an adage, show, don't tell. And they told us without showing us anything to back up that comment. And that's actually my biggest complaint about the movie, was that one line inserted in there randomly. And if you've read any X-Men comics, they are all about teamwork. Overall, very good movie. C+, B-. You could do worse if you want to go see a summer blockbuster, and obviously I'm a huge X-Men fan, so that was what I chose to go see that weekend. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's definitely not a 28%. So, don't listen to the critics, make up your own mind. Go out there and check it out. Till next time.